Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm Alex, and with me, as always, is Maya.
Hi, everyone.
Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into, well, this is interesting, it's into your sources about success. What is success for you? That's the question we're trying to answer.
Yeah, we've got a pretty fascinating collection of sources to dig into this time.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about what we're looking at today.
Sure. We've got some excerpts from Chapter 5 of a book that's all about, well, it's aimed at helping young people achieve success. And we have this thought-provoking blog post titled, "What is Success for You?" Oh, and an article, too, featuring some really interesting results from a survey on success done by Fearless, I think it was. And last but not least, we have a blog post by Imogen Roy exploring, all these different aspects of success.
It seems like you're trying to really get to the bottom of what it means to be successful. I mean, so much of what we hear about success is all about, the money, the recognition.
Right, exactly.
But it sounds like we're going to explore a whole lot more than that today.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to go beyond those kind of one-size-fits-all definitions of success. Really dig into what it means, on a personal level. For you, for me, for everyone.
Yeah. I like that. Well, maybe before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's just, for a baseline, what does the dictionary even say about success?
Oh, that's a good point. It's like back to basics, right? I think the dictionary definition, a lot of times it kind of sets the stage for how people initially think about success, like their first impression.
Yeah, for sure. So what does it say? Success is?
Okay, so according to the dictionary, success is, hold on, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Right. But then it goes on to give these examples, like, achieving wealth or getting a high position or becoming famous. Yeah, and that's where things get, a little more complicated. Because while those things can definitely be a part of success for some people, they don't tell the whole story. And actually just focusing on those external things, sometimes it can lead us down the wrong path, a path that doesn't really fulfill us,
It's like climbing the ladder, but it's leaning against the wrong wall.
Yes.
You get to the top, you're like, wait, this isn't where I wanted to be at all.
Right. And one of your sources, Imogen Roy, she puts it pretty bluntly in her blog post. She says, "Success without fulfillment is not success, it's failure."
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. It really challenges that idea that success is all about those achievements, what you achieve.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of highlights that danger of chasing someone else's dream, which is something that's also brought up in that blog post titled, "What is Success for You?"
Yeah.
Like sometimes we get so caught up in what society expects, what other people are doing, that we lose sight of what really matters to us as individuals.
Right. Trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Always striving for what they have, even if it's not what you actually want.
Exactly.
What do you think? Have you ever felt that pressure to conform to a definition of success that just doesn't feel authentic to you?
Oh, definitely. I think a lot of people have.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, for sure. Because real success, the kind that really makes you happy, it has to come from within.
Yeah, and that reminds me of something that was in the excerpt from Chapter 5 that you shared. They were talking about self-determination. It's like a really key part of success.
Oh, yeah, totally. Self-determination, it's basically like being able to decide what you want and then going for it.
Right, taking ownership of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Imogen Roy, in her blog post, she actually has this alternative formula for success, and I think it perfectly captures this whole idea.
Oh, I like formulas.
Yeah.
Tell me more. What's the formula?
Okay, so she says success equals financial stability. Okay, so there's that.
All right, that's a good start.
Plus creative freedom.
Okay, interesting.
Plus lifestyle design.
Okay, so it's not just about the money. Tell me a little bit more about those other elements.
Right. So financial stability, the way Roy explains it, it's about having control over your time, how much you work, your income. It's not about being super rich necessarily, but it's about, having enough to live comfortably and pursue your passions without stressing about money all the time.
Yeah, I get that. Especially these days, I feel like more and more people are looking for that flexibility and that balance, right? Between their work and their life. So what about creative freedom? Where does that fit in?
So creative freedom, it's about, feeling free to express yourself in your work authentically. Having the space to try new things without someone micromanaging you every step of the way.
So it's not just about having like a creative job title. It's about feeling creative in whatever you do.
Exactly. And then lifestyle design, that last piece, it's about having the flexibility to prioritize the things that are important to you outside of work, like your family, travel, hobbies, personal growth, all of that. It's about creating a life that feels balanced, where work is a part of it, but not everything.
That's a pretty appealing concept. I remember when I was first starting out, I was so focused on like making a big impact and being financially successful that I kind of forgot about other parts of my life.
Hmm.
And it took me a while to realize that happiness and balance, they're just as important,
Yeah.
maybe even more important.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go through something similar. It's easy to get caught up in those external markers of success, and forget about what truly makes us happy.
Right.
But imagine waking up every day excited about your work, feeling financially secure, but also like you have the freedom to pursue your passions and you're creatively stimulated. That's the power of aligning your actions with your own definition of success.
That's a great image to keep in mind for sure. Now, you mentioned earlier some insights from real people from that Fearless survey. What did people say about success?
Yeah, it was so interesting to see how people define success in their own words. The responses actually kind of clustered around 5 key themes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What were the themes?
So the most common one was impact, like making a difference in the world, leaving your mark, contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Okay, so that kind of aligns with that traditional idea of making a difference.
Right.
Makes sense. What about number 2?
Happiness and health. And I think this really reflects, how people's priorities are changing, especially after everything that's happened in the world lately. People are putting more emphasis on their well-being, both mental and physical, and realizing that success isn't worth much if it comes at the expense of your health or your happiness.
Right, you're not going to enjoy it if you're miserable. Right.
Exactly.
Makes sense. What about the other 3 themes?
So number 3 was work-life balance.
Yeah, that's a hot topic these days.
It is. It's all about, finding that balance between your career and your personal life where work enhances your life, not consumes it.
Yeah. Okay, number 4.
Achieving goals. For some people, success is less about the end result and more about, the process of setting goals and achieving them.
Right, it's that sense of accomplishment you get.
Exactly. And then the 5th theme was financial comfort.
Okay, so this is interesting because it's different from wealth.
Right. It wasn't about amassing a ton of money or anything like that. It was more about having enough to live comfortably, feel secure, and, pursue their passions without worrying about money.
Right, having that peace of mind. Did any responses from the survey really stick with you?
Yeah, there were so many thoughtful responses, but one that I really liked said, let me see. My definition of success has changed since the pandemic. I now define success as being healthy and mentally happy. And I think that reflects something we're seeing a lot of. People are reevaluating their priorities and recognizing that true success is about more than just, external achievements.
I saw a similar sentiment in another response. It said, success to me is not exactly my work legacy. It is what I leave with my family, what I am remembered for. A caring mother, a wonderful friend, etc.
Oh, yeah.
It's like shifting the focus from professional achievements to personal relationships.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And the impact you have on the people around you.
And it highlights how important it is to have a strong support system and nurture those relationships that bring us joy.
Right. Which, by the way, was also mentioned in that excerpt from Chapter 5 about the role of like mentors and positive relationships in achieving success.
Yeah, for sure.
It all comes back to that idea of defining success for yourself. So out of all these perspectives we've talked about, which one resonated most with you?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Let us know in the comments. What about you out there?
Yes, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
All right, so we've talked about all these different perspectives, and now let's get a little bit more practical.
Okay.
How can people actually define success for themselves? Imogen Roy, in her blog post, talks about a vision of success exercise. Do you think that's a good place to start?
Oh, absolutely. It's such a helpful exercise for anyone who's struggling to put into words what success means to them. It involves like reflecting on what lifestyle design, creative freedom, and financial stability mean to you personally.
So it's about getting specific. Like, what does that actually look like in your life?
Exactly.
Can you walk us through some of the questions she suggests asking?
Sure. So for lifestyle design, she asks, what does success look like for you in terms of health and wellness, family and social life, holidays and hobbies?
Okay, so it's about envisioning your ideal day-to-day life.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Who are you with? how are you taking care of yourself? And then for creative freedom, she asks, what does meaningful work feel like for you professionally? What kind of people do you work for and with? How do they inspire you?
So it's about figuring out what kind of work really lights you up, what kind of environment you want to be in.
Exactly. And then for financial stability, she gets really specific. She asks, what does financial success look like in order to be able to afford the lifestyle you want? What's your more than enough number that leaves you with plenty to save for the future and give back?
I like that she includes that aspect of giving back. It speaks to that idea that true success often involves using your resources to, make a positive impact on the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to remember that defining success is an ongoing process.
Right. It's not a one-time thing.
Right. As you change and grow, your definition of success might change too. It's good to revisit these questions, from time to time and make adjustments as needed. Life's a journey, not a destination, and our understanding of success can change along with us.
That's so true. It's not about setting a definition in stone, right? It's about staying connected to what truly matters to you and being open to changing your path along the way. Have you done this vision of success exercise yourself?
I have, actually, and it was so helpful for me. I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's, feeling a little lost or unsure about what they're really aiming for in life. It's a great way to figure out your values, set intentions, and really create a roadmap for a fulfilling and successful life on your own terms.
That's great to hear. Now, in addition to that vision of success exercise, the Chapter 5 excerpt, it also had some really good tips for setting goals.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It talks about figuring out your strengths, coming up with strategies to use those strengths, and asking for help when you need it.
So it's about taking that vision of success and turning it into concrete steps.
Exactly. You can't just think about it. You got to take action.
Right.
And I love this quote from Chapter 5. Success can be achieved by everyone. It's just this reminder that success isn't just for a select few. Anyone can achieve it if they put in the effort, have a plan, and believe in themselves.
I love that. It's very inspiring. Now, we've talked about the vision of success exercise. We've talked about setting goals. But what about actually taking action? That's got to be the next step, right?
Yes, definitely.
Let's talk about that.
Let's save that for next time. We'll be right back to continue our deep dive into defining success.
We'll be right back.
Hey there. Hope you're enjoying the show. Want to sponsor our podcast? We're open to it. We can feature your product in a quick break and include an affiliate link in the description. Reach out to us Instagram at AlexMaya or search for Alex and Maya Podcasts on Instagram. Welcome back to our deep dive. Before the break, we were just about to get into the whole taking action thing.
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to get caught up in the planning, the dreaming about success. But without action, it's just a fantasy, right? One of the sources, the blog post, What is Success for You? Really hit on that point.
Yeah, it talked about how important it is to step outside your comfort zone. That's where growth happens, right?
You know that saying, life begins at the end of your comfort zone? It's a bit cliche, but
it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
And you don't have to go it alone. Remember, Chapter 5 was talking about building a support network, having mentors, friends, even online communities. They can help you stay on track.
It's like having a cheering section for your journey.
Exactly. They celebrate your wins with you. And when you have those setbacks...
Because we all have them?
We do. Actually, Chapter 5 pointed out that successful people, they often have more setbacks than less successful people, just because they're trying more things.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about how you deal with it.
Exactly. Resilience. Bouncing back. And that kind of leads into the whole mindset thing. One of the sources was really emphasizing staying positive, being optimistic.
Oh, yeah. Chapter 5 had a whole section on building a positive attitude. Even had some insights from people with disabilities and how they stay positive, even when facing huge challenges.
It's inspiring, right? Focusing on what you're good at, being grateful, and believing you can overcome those obstacles.
And there was a part about finding humor, too, which I really appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
Life can be tough. Sometimes you just got to laugh, right?
Totally. Laughing at yourself, not taking things too seriously, it can really help you get through those tough times.
It's like adding a little bit of lightness to the journey. Okay, so we've talked about the internal stuff, mindset, goals, self-determination. But what about the outside world? What about all those societal expectations? How do those play into all of this?
That's a big one. And I think that's where that danger of chasing someone else's dream really comes in,
Right.
We're bombarded with these messages about what success should look like. And it's usually tied to money, status, all those
They're
things.
classic markers of success, right?
Yeah, and those things, they can be part of it, but they shouldn't be the only things we measure ourselves against. It's so important to, filter those messages and figure out what truly matters to you.
Yeah. It's like trying to tune out the noise and hear your own inner voice, which can be hard.
It can. It takes self-awareness, confidence in your own values, knowing that your path is unique and that you get to define success for yourself. But it's so worth it, because when you're living a life that's true to you, you feel this sense of peace, purpose, fulfillment that nothing else can give you.
Yeah, it's like that feeling of being on the right path, even if it's not the path everyone else expects you to be on.
Right.
And that's something we saw in those fearless survey responses, right?
Definitely.
A lot of people were emphasizing happiness, health, work-life balance over just climbing the corporate ladder.
Exactly. It's a good reminder that success has so many different sides to it, and we get to choose which ones are most important to us.
So how do we decide what really matters when it comes to defining success, I mean?
Well, that's where those reflection questions from those blog posts come in, like what makes you happy? What are you really good at? What kind of impact do you want to make on the world? What truly motivates you?
Yeah, it's like peeling back the layers and getting to the core of who you are.
Exactly. And once you know what your values are, it's so much easier to make choices that actually reflect those values.
So it might mean choosing a certain career path, making certain relationships a priority, spending time on hobbies.
Right. It's about creating a life that feels real and meaningful to you, not trying to fit into someone else's idea of what success should be.
And it's a journey, right?
It is. It's an ongoing journey of figuring yourself out. As we experience new things, our definition of success might change too.
That's a really good point. It's not static.
No.
Okay, so we've talked about taking action, building a support network, bouncing back from those setbacks, having the right mindset, and dealing with those external pressures. But what about fulfillment? Where does that fit in?
Ooh, good question. Remember that quote you mentioned earlier from Imogen Roy? Success without fulfillment is not success, it's failure. What does that mean to you? And how can people find that sense of fulfillment?
To me, fulfillment is about feeling truly satisfied with your life, like you have a purpose. It's about living according to your values, using your strengths, making a positive impact, and just finding joy in what you do.
It's like being in the flow, when you're totally absorbed in something and time just flies by.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, trying new things, making conscious choices.
So how can our listeners start cultivating that?
Well, it goes back to what we've been saying, right? Defining success for yourself, setting goals that are meaningful to you, taking action. But it's also about being present, appreciating what you have, being grateful for the experiences you have along the way.
It's not just about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey.
Exactly. And recognizing that fulfillment can come from so many different places. Yeah. Your relationships, your work, your hobbies, even just your own personal growth.
So find those things that bring you joy, those things that make you feel alive, and make time for them.
Right. And it's important to remember that fulfillment, it's not a constant thing. It ebbs and flows. There will be times when you feel more fulfilled than others. The key is to keep exploring, keep growing, keep making choices that align with what's truly important to you.
Yeah, it's a journey.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about setting goals and taking action, but what happens when you achieve those goals? How do you celebrate those wins?
Ooh, that's important. It's so easy to get caught up in striving for the next thing that we forget to enjoy the moment, right?
Yeah, totally. Celebrating your wins, big or small, is so important for staying motivated. It's about recognizing your effort, appreciating how far you've come, and just feeling good about your accomplishments.
So how can our listeners do that? How can they celebrate?
It can be anything that feels good to you, honestly. It could be as simple as taking a moment to reflect on what you've achieved, telling a friend or family member, or treating yourself to something special.
I love that. It's about making time to appreciate those wins. Doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Now, we've talked about defining success, setting goals, taking action, celebrating wins, finding fulfillment. But what about other people? What role do they play in our success?
That's something to think about, for sure. We mentioned having a support system earlier, but our success can actually inspire others too.
That's true. Chapter 5 was talking about role models and how seeing other people succeed, especially people who have overcome obstacles, can be so motivating.
It's like, if they can do it, I can do it too.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be someone famous or anything. It can be a friend, a family member, a coworker, even someone you don't know that well.
And the other way around too, right? Our successes can have a positive impact on the people around us, even in small ways.
I like that. It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. So it's not just about us, it's about how we can lift each other up.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about how to actually put these ideas into practice. We've talked about setting goals, but how do you make sure those goals are realistic and align with your definition of success?
That's the key, right? One of those blog posts, What is Success for You, suggested starting small. Set achievable goals and then work your way up to the bigger things.
It's like building a staircase, one step at a time.
Exactly. And each time you hit a goal, you get more confident, you build momentum. It makes those bigger goals feel less overwhelming.
Yeah, you start to believe that you can really do anything you set your mind to.
And it's important to be realistic, right, about your goals and how long it might take to achieve them.
Some things take time.
They do. And it's okay to change your goals along the way, too. Life happens, priorities change. Be flexible.
That's a great reminder. It's not about being rigid, it's about adapting as you go. Okay, so we've talked about defining success, setting goals, but now we really need to talk about taking action.
Right, you got to walk the walk.
It's one thing to have a plan, but you got to actually do something to make it happen.
And that often means, getting out of your comfort zone, facing your fears, trying new things, even if it feels a little scary.
Yeah, sometimes you got to take a leap of faith, but those are usually the moments where you grow the most, right?
Absolutely. And you don't have to do everything at once. Start with one small step.
Just keep moving forward, one step at a time.
So we've talked a lot about the internal stuff, mindset, goals, all of that. But what about those external factors? Things like opportunities, resources, having people to support you. How do those play into achieving success?
That's a really good question. While we definitely have a lot of control over our own lives, those external factors can make a big difference.
For sure. Like if you have access to good education, mentors, or financial resources, that can open doors that might not be open otherwise.
Yeah, it's not a level playing field for everyone, unfortunately.
Right. And having a strong support system, your family, friends, colleagues, mentors, they can offer so much encouragement and guidance. That can be huge.
It's a reminder that success isn't just about you as an individual. Other people play a part too.
Totally. And we should all be advocating for ourselves and seeking out those opportunities or resources that can help us succeed. Okay, we've talked about the steps involved in defining and achieving success. But what does it actually feel like to be successful? What's that experience like?
I imagine it feels different for everyone.
It does. It depends on what's important to you, what you've accomplished. But I think there are some common themes.
Like feeling proud, feeling happy, feeling fulfilled.
Right. When you achieve something you've been working towards, it just feels good, right? It gives you confidence.
And it can inspire you to do even more.
Yeah. Success isn't a finish line. It's a journey. You're always growing, always learning.
And that journey, it can be an emotional roller coaster, right?
It is. There will be challenges, frustrations, but also those moments of excitement and triumph.
It's about embracing all of it, the good and the bad, learning from the tough times, celebrating the wins, and just keeping moving forward.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, let's talk about something that can be kind of tricky. Legacy. One of the sources, the blog post, What is Success for You, asks that question, what legacy do I want to leave?
That's a big one, right? It's about thinking beyond yourself and your own achievements.
Yeah, it's about the impact you want to have on the world, how you want to be remembered.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be some grand, huge thing.
Right. It can be as simple as being kind to others, sharing what you know, or helping out in your community.
It's about leaving the world a little better than you found it.
I love that. And it's something we can all do in our own way.
Okay, we've covered a lot today, but before we wrap up, I want to talk about one more really important thing.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Self-care.
Oh, yeah. It's so easy to forget about that when you're busy chasing success.
Right. We push ourselves so hard, we sacrifice sleep, we don't eat well, we stop doing the things we enjoy.
All in the name of achieving our goals.
Exactly. But that's why taking care of yourself is so important, both your physical health and your mental health. When you're taking care of yourself, you're better able to deal with stress, overcome those challenges, and just show up as your best self.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what are some things people can do? We've thrown a lot of information at our listeners today, but it's important to remember this is a marathon, not a sprint. You've got to take care of yourself if you want to stay in the game for the long run.
It can be anything that helps you relax, recharge, feel good. Find things that nourish your mind, your body, your spirit, and make them a part of your daily routine.
So like getting enough sleep, eating healthy, exercising, spending time in nature, meditating, Maybe doing some yoga, pursuing hobbies.
All of that. Find what works for you and make it a priority. It's not selfish, it's essential.
Right. You can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself first.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into defining success.
I feel like we could talk about this forever. There's just so much to unpack when it comes to success.
I know, right? It's such a rich topic.
But I think we've covered a lot of good ground today. What would you say are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, the biggest one for me is that there's no single definition of success that works for everyone.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Exactly. It's about figuring out what success means to you based on your values, your passions, your dreams.
It's about creating a life that feels right for you, even if it's different from what other people expect.
And it's not a destination, you know? It's a journey, and that journey is about constantly growing, learning, evolving.
So embrace the journey, celebrate the milestones along the way, and just keep striving to be the best version of yourself.
I love that. It's all about empowerment, isn't it?
It is. Okay, before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Imagine you're 80 years old, looking back on your life. What would make you feel truly successful?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is, right? It really makes you think. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
We're always eager to hear from you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get notified of our latest episodes.
We'll be back next week with another thought-provoking deep dive.
Episode 7, How to Prioritize.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep defining success on your own terms.